And just if you have a question at any point, since it's just the two of you, please speak up, and I'd be very happy to answer your question at any point. You don't have to wait until the end of the presentation. We can make this more of a conversation. Okay, we all ready to roll? Mm-hmm. Recording, okay. All right, everyone. My name is Steven Zerker, and I'm the Dean of the Asian Studies program. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about the exchange opportunity that you students at Wisconsin-Stout have with Kansai Gaidai University. So very briefly, I'll go through this relatively quickly and leave more time for questions from you. And again, anytime you students have a question, just speak up. So the school was created like many organizations after World War II. That was a period of renewal. And Japan was pretty much wiped out through the war, as you probably all know. Honda, many great companies started right after the war. And Kansai Gaidai was one of those organizations that started just after the war ended. It began as a language school, just a very small language school with a limited number of students. But over the years subsequent, since 1945, it's become a major, very well-known, very famous institution in Japan, supporting language learning and also cross-cultural exchange. Those are the two things that Kansai Gaidai are famous for. You can see we have 12,000 local students. This picture of the campus here, you can imagine that being completely filled with students once they start arriving on campus. So we have two campuses, actually. This is the main campus, and there's another one that's located. We'll show you some pictures of that later on. That's close by, which is where the student dorm is. Then we, as I mentioned, are famous for our exchange program. So we have 390 partner institutions all over the world, majority being in the United States, Wisconsin-Stout being now one of those partner institutions, covers 55 countries and regions. So when you come to Kansai Gaidai, you'll find that you're with students from all over the world. Usually it averages 15 to 20 to 25 different countries that you'll be living and studying with. And that doesn't count the Japanese students, of course. You'll be living and studying with them as well. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so everything in red, so you can just look at very quickly. The only thing I care about, the thing where I'm the dean, is the Asian Studies program. And this program has been set up specifically to support international exchange, Japanese students going abroad, and also foreign students, most particular to you guys, coming in to study with us in Japan. So next slide, please. All right, so I mentioned that the school started in 1945. The official program to begin to encourage exchange began in 1972. And at that point, Japanese universities were not focusing on intercultural exchange, semester-based exchange at all. So Kansai Gaidai was a pioneer. And of course, I wasn't around at that time, but I heard that it was not easy, that hundreds and hundreds of letters were sent out to the United States to try and establish a partnership, and only one responded, the University of Arkansas. And that's how the program originated back in the mid-1970s. And you can see that subsequent to that period of time, we now have had 17,000 exchange students over the decades following from the 1970s. We average usually around 300 to 350 students per semester coming to our campus to study, take Japanese, and also a variety of other content-oriented courses. So it's been a great success. The satisfaction rate with the students who do this is extremely high, both at the course level and the fact that through our program they're able to live in Japan. I know you guys probably have other options. Many American students want to study in Europe, for example, maybe in New Zealand. But Japan is, I think, a wonderful opportunity for you to spend a semester or two. It's nice in that Well, first of all, it's a beautiful country. And second, Japanese people really are very warm and friendly and uh, are helpful to exchange students, not just on our campus, I mean in the whole country. No matter where you go, you'll find that people are very warm and friendly. It's also very safe in this country. Japan is extremely safe place to be. So I know many of you, many of the students that come are interested in Japanese culture, specifically manga and so forth. So we offer courses in that area. So Japan, I think, is a very, very interesting opportunity. I can say this because I was an exchange student many years ago. I came to Kansai Gaidai for 1 year and studied myself, and it changed my life entirely. It changed how I viewed myself as an American. I began to learn a little bit about Japan. And in my case, it led to an international business career, uh, which I would not have been able to do if I had not studied at Kansai Gaidai for 1 year. And then eventually it led to me becoming a professor and dean at the same university where I was an exchange student. So in a very brief uh, encapsulation, that's my story. It all started with Kansai Gaidai in my case. So students come from all over the world, 40 countries and regions generally. We teach Japanese language courses and what we call content courses. That includes courses that I teach, business, but so we have sociology, anthropology, history, political science, design courses, art courses. We have probably the largest variety of courses specifically designed for exchange students in all of Japan. We have between 60 and 70 different courses. That's just counting the content courses. And then we throw in Japanese courses as well, which goes from level 1 or year 1 all the way through year 4. Then we also have Japanese ceramic and manga courses. We have art courses, calligraphy courses, things like that we offer periodically. So you can study not just history, but you can also take a hands-on course, which is quite popular with our students. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I mentioned we do have a second campus. You see the first picture that you saw already. Second campus, Gotoyama campus. It's a couple years old now. It's about half a kilometer, maybe a 12-minute walk from the main campus. And this is where the dormitory is located and many of the classrooms, cafeteria, library, and so forth. So it's built kind of in a California style. I'm from California, so I'm familiar with Stanford and Berkeley, those types of schools. So it has that kind of feeling or vibe to it. Next slide, please. Okay, so this again shows the diversity of students that come to study with us. The primary focus in the old days, back in the 70s, was on North America, but subsequent to that development, we've begun to expand our focus across all of Asia, Europe. Many, many business students come from Europe. We have students from Africa, Colombia. We have a partner relationship with a school there, and I have Colombian students in my classes every semester when we're holding classes face-to-face, that is. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we do send students abroad, and I think we were intending to send students to University of Wisconsin-Stout through the hospitality management program. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we were not able to do that. So the exchange with your school runs in two directions. We accept your students here on our campus, and then we also send students from Kansai Gaidai to Wisconsin-Stout. So it works both ways. You can see some pictures there of the mix of students, foreign students, Japanese students mixed in with the foreign students. The last picture there on the right is Linda Bohacker. She is one of our most popular teachers. I was just reading her student feedback for last semester, and many of her students want her to become president of the United States. They just say that she is just such a terrific teacher that she should be president. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, go ahead. All right, so one of the great things about our campus is that we're located in the cultural center of Japan. That is, we're not far from Kyoto. It's about a half-an-hour train ride to Kyoto, and then Osaka, which is the second largest city in Japan, population 6 or 7 million people, is also about half an hour away by train from our campus. So we're between Osaka and Kyoto. Also Nara, one of the previous capitals in Japan. Kyoto had been, now Tokyo is close by. Some of our professors live in Nara, a wonderful place to visit. I live in Kobe, so that's my home, my second hometown, I guess. Kobe is listed there. And then also Hiroshima is not too far away as well. Okay, next slide. Okay. So one thing that's good about our program, from the early days, it was set up to exactly match the US schedule. We decided to accommodate the American students on their schedule to make it easier for them to come and visit with us. The fact is that the Japanese calendar, as you can see in the fall, pretty much aligns with the American calendar, but in the spring is offset significantly. So right now it's winter break for Japanese students. The main 12,000 student body group are not studying right now, and they will not begin until the cherry blossom season begins in late March, early April. So we decided not to follow the local calendar. We followed the Western calendar. So our classes this semester are ongoing right now. They actually started January 25th. So there's no interruption from your perspective in terms of the semester schedule. You come to Kansai Gaidai and you're on the same schedule as you would be as if you're studying at your home at Stout. Okay, next slide. I've already alluded to this before, but our Japanese language courses, the satisfaction rates, I was taking a look at that too just recently. Naoko, you don't know this, but I looked at the Japanese professor feedback, and 60% of them are rated at 100%. I can't believe it. The numbers are just so high. So Japanese students really enjoy studying with us, and the Japanese professors teach in a way that seems to be very effective, and the students really like. The class size actually, right now, since our courses are online, is even lower than the 12 to 15. But when we do offer courses face-to-face, that's the number. And we offer Japanese levels from the very beginning with no Japanese all the way up to level 4. So some of our partner institutions don't have third year or fourth year Japanese. Many of our exchange students come to Kansai Gaidai so they can continue their studies at a higher level and be in Japan while you're doing it, which makes a big, big difference. Then the content-based courses I mentioned, these are all taught in English, and you can go to our website, Asian Studies Program, and look at our course offerings. We have about 50 instructors total. That counts content-based courses and Japanese language instructors. So we have 50 professors teaching in the Asian Studies program alone, which leads to this high number of different courses. So there's a tremendous range of classes that you can take, and you can follow your own interests, whether it be Japan or more broadly Asia, because now we're offering courses on an Asian level as well. So North Asia, Asian economics, Asian literature, things like that. And as I mentioned, we have studio art courses, ceramics, manga, and Japanese harp is also a class that we're offering. So if you want to get hands-on while you're at Kansai Gaidai, you can do that. Okay, next, please. So this is my baby. This is something I helped to create several years ago, and it's turned out to be a great success. We run an internship during the summer with about 20 different Japanese businesses, and some of these are quite famous Japanese companies. We also run the internship with local schools, so in our area. So if you're interested in becoming an English instructor or some kind of teacher, you also can spend a month working at a local Japanese school learning how they teach English. So this runs anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months, depending on the internship. You can see some of the companies there on the left that we work with, very famous Japanese companies and some famous US companies as well. Kidzania, that's really a cool one. That's an entertainment area, so it's a mix between a teaching environment and an entertainment environment. So we send 1 to 2 students there every summer, and they really enjoy that. We also work with nonprofit organizations, governments. So if you're If you're a resident during the spring semester at Kansai Gaidai, then you would apply for this. We average around 50 students per summer. It ends as soon as the spring semester ends, then the internship program begins. So basically you roll through the spring semester right into your internship. You're welcome to stay in the same dorm. We take care of all of that for you. So this has been just a tremendous success. Many of our students, now that we've been running so long, get job offers from these companies, or it provides the base level experience for them to apply to other Japanese companies. Or for those of you that are interested in the JET program, that's a specific government-sponsored English education program. Many of the students who did the internships with the local schools are able to put that on their application, which makes them stand out from others that are applying because they have direct experience already in a Japanese teaching environment. So again, this runs in the summertime and is an outcome from the spring semester. Great, great program. Okay, next slide. So we do offer different ways of staying. Students can live on their own, that's possible. Also, homestay is something that we offer where you live with a Japanese family. That's what I did when I was an exchange student. Or you can live in the dorm. We have a big dorm with 660 rooms. Each room is individual, single rooms, and you're mixed in with Japanese students there. So you have a cross-cultural experience, not just in the classroom or on campus, but also where you're living. You can see there's exercise facilities and party get-togethers and various programs to encourage collaboration between you as foreign students and the Japanese students. And by the way, the Japanese students are at Kansai Gaidai because they want to study English because we're a language institution. Therefore, they want to talk to you. You know, they want to speak with you in English, and also they know that you're studying Japanese. So it creates a very positive environment for you to be able to meet a variety of different people. So there's a speaker program, there's official ways of actually supporting interaction. There's a variety of different clubs that you can join while you're on campus. So when I was a student, I joined the karate club, and that was an intense experience. I was the first foreign student to ever do that at Kansai Gaidai. And I learned a lot about Japanese culture through my experience at the karate club. We have Halloween party. Halloween is popular in Japan. It's been growing year over year. There are lots of different events that occur on campus to encourage you guys to have fun and to meet with the local students as well. Okay, so we have a variety of different support services. I won't go into detail on this. One thing that we have offered is we do have counseling services when we do have when we have students on campus. There's a former psychology professor who is a licensed counselor. So that's an available service that we offer to the students. And we have the CIE office itself. So Naoko represents that on this call. They're all English speaking. And they're the ones who help to coordinate your visa, get the classes set up, and help you when you're on campus. So we have a dedicated group of people that are there to support you as you apply, when you arrive, and through the course of the semester as well. And of course, your professors will be very happy to help you as well. That's, I think, the primary student interaction is with the professors once the classes get going and the relationship is formed there. And of course, they all speak English, naturally. Even the Japanese instructors speak English, so. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this doesn't apply to you guys in terms of tuition, but there's various options in terms of where you live and so forth. So these are some of the fees associated. If you do get serious about this, you can review this with the folks at Stout for to help facilitate the international exchange. Okay, so the application period for fall is open now, right? So we're running that up through May 15th. Let me address the question about whether or not there'll be students on campus in the fall. Yeah, unfortunately, for the last 2 semesters, including this one, the Japanese government, in their wisdom, have decided to not allow any students to enter the country. So that stopped us from having students in the fall last year, and it also stopped us from having students on campus in the spring. We have been running online programs to help the students who wanted to come to Japan but unfortunately could not. So we have 330 students approximately taking online courses from us, from the same professors who teach the courses on a face-to-face basis. That's what's going on right now. So we don't know for sure what the Japanese government will decide. The biggest issue for the Japanese government right now is whether or not to run the Olympics, which were originally scheduled for 2020 and were delayed to 2021. So whether or not they do that will be a strong signal to us as to whether or not they'll allow students in the fall. So, but we're expecting to host you. Our expectation, our goal, our dream is that we'll have students back on campus again starting in late August. So we are accepting applications and we're going through the process in like any other semester. We'll make a final decision about whether or not to support students on campus, given the conditions that exist in Japan, given the government proclamations about whether or not they'll allow students to come into Japan. And that'll probably at the very latest be late May or early June. But if you are interested, do apply. Our expectation is that we'll be able to accept you in the fall. Okay, so the rest is process related. All right, that's the quick pitch on Kansai Gaidai. I guess I can turn it over to the, looks like we have more students now, or I don't know, maybe these are staff people, but if any of you have any questions, please speak up about anything I talked about or anything else that you may have in mind. Like, for example, what's it like really to live in Japan? Or how's the weather, you know, in August and September? I can answer those questions as well. So anything that comes to mind, please go ahead and let me know.
And while students are thinking of some questions, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the recording.
Okay.
All right. And thank you very much for doing this presentation. We greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.